dialogue to action, from ideas to impact. This is the 2025 MAHA Summit. Kicking off our program, please welcome to the stage Tony Lyons, President, MAHA Action.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Tony Lyons, President of MAHA Action. I want to start off by saying thank you to President Donald Trump for giving Secretary Kennedy the opportunity to end the chronic disease epidemic and make America healthy once again. Today is a culmination. It's an important milestone of a movement that started 40 years ago, and a movement that I hope and that we all hope will usher in a generation of healthier children and an era of incredible innovation geared towards prevention rather than treatment. There's this kinetic wave of energy and a focus now that I've never seen before that's sweeping the country. And that focus is on greater health. And there are parents all around the country reading labels, thinking about what to put in their children's bodies. And, that kind of change is so important. And that progress is cultural. It's a change in the way people think. So hundreds of millions of people are looking at things differently, looking at them in ways that they've never looked at them before. They've learned new words like beef tallow or seed oils, petroleum-based food dyes, ultra-processed foods. And we can also now, for the first time in a long time, have difficult conversations about vaccines, drugs, pesticides, and really anything else that we put in our bodies. So this morning I got a lot of text messages from people who wondered why this event included so many different people, so many different voices, people from big corporations, people from all kinds of different sides of the health argument. And, my response to that is, I'm a book publisher, and I'm a free speech book publisher. And I believe that what we've been fighting for all along is to have a seat at the table and to make sure that we have real science in this country, that all voices are heard. And that's where you get better outcomes. You don't get better outcomes by replacing one kind of settled science with another kind of settled science. We don't know everything. Everybody, every doctor who's gone to medical school knows that half the things in their medical books turn out to be wrong. So we need incredibly vigorous dialogue, debate. We need to encourage dissent. And, we want to engage with people who we disagree with. We want more ideas, more perspectives. And, when it comes to corporations, we want to make sure that science, isn't just, that corporate talking points aren't masquerading as science. But that doesn't mean excluding, scientists or doctors or researchers. We need all the voices. We need every part of this debate. That is real science, and that's how we get better outcomes. So it's my great privilege now to introduce Finn Kennedy. He's just an incredibly impressive young man with a wise soul. He's thoughtful, kind, creative, and has a sense of responsibility that quietly echoes the values that he obviously grew up with and that shaped him. And while he'll certainly make his father proud and would have made his grandfather really proud, he has his own vision, his own ideas, and his own independence of thought that I've really come to see, and that I think can really help build the MAHA movement. He's quickly becoming an important part of the heart and soul of that movement. And he serves on the board, and he's really helping to move and shape the ideas that are going to be a big part of the future of MAHA. So we're so proud to have him here today, not as a symbol of the Kennedy family, but as a builder of what comes next. So thanks so much for coming here today, and please welcome Finn Kennedy.
everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Finn Kennedy. 10 years ago, I was transitioning from being a free skier into a college student, and I suddenly developed chronic pain. I had broken many bones before that, and I knew what it was like to feel something of that intensity and then to heal from it. After a few visits to the ER, it became clear that this pain was not going to be like a skiing injury. This pain didn't go away. It kept me awake at night. It woke me up in the morning. There was no break. There was no time to rest. It ground me down until it felt like I was the pain and Finn was a mere passenger. It was the beginning of an 8-year odyssey into the worlds of conventional and alternative medicine that spanned from the Cleveland and Mayo clinics to dozens of integrative and functional medicine physicians, to experiments with hyperbaric and ozone and plasmapheresis and stem cells and exosomes and psychedelics, and to a woman who danced around me with a crystal to try and exorcise the spirit of Lyme's disease. That's Charles referred me to. That journey initiated me into the experience that at least 100 million people in this country suffer from. Even for us, who are in a fortunate position, it was financially stressful. You move through familiar cycles of hope, followed by disappointment, distrust, and fear after being told by various doctors that they have the answer to your problem, only to end up in the same place. Chronic illness makes your dreams feel impossible. It separates you from your relationships, and it mutes the colors of your life. It turns 1,000 dreams into one. My journey is a template for the battles that are becoming more and more common for millions of Americans. The experience of a mother in this country today is different than it was 40 years ago. She is 3 times more likely to be obese, 2 times more likely to need a C-section, and 3 times more likely to die in childbirth. When the baby comes out of the womb, it is thrust into an environment with 80,000 chemicals and fed infant formula with lead and mercury. If that baby goes to public school, 2/3 of their diet will be processed food. If it's a boy, there's a 15% chance he's put on a stimulant. If it's a girl, there's a 50% chance she experiences persistent feelings of depression. Then, regardless of gender, it's more likely than not that at some point in their life, they end up in medical debt. Many of these problems can be traced to incentives and agency capture that reward private companies and public institutions for profit-taking over population health. Regulators have allowed corporations to tell us what chemicals are safe. We've allowed lobbyists to design the food pyramid, and we've subsidized commodity crops to the point that a bottle of Coca-Cola is cheaper than a bottle of water at the grocery store. As this happens and clinical outcomes continue to get worse, our medical spend compounds towards us having to make tough decisions about what to fund in the mid-2030s. We are here today to reset that relationship and forge a better path. We've assembled exceptional entrepreneurs, scientists, activists, and government officials who are at the tip of the spear in healthcare innovation and regulatory reform. You will hear from activists like Jason Karp, Dana White, Brian Johnson, and Gary Brecka, who inspire Americans to take ownership of their health. You will hear from startups like FitOn, Whoop, and Nourish on how they're redefining how we approach lifestyle, nutrition, and exercise. And you will hear from established companies like Google and Walmart on how they're using their reach to impact population health. And you will hear about the government's strategies for resetting national health policy from Vice President J.D. Vance and HHS Secretary RFK Jr. I hope those of you gathered here will be inspired to add your own energies, your imagination, and practical competencies to help build this emerging infrastructure. I hope you leave today with confidence that we can unleash the power of capitalism on the chronic disease epidemic and restore prosperity to our nation. In challenging moments of my journey, I held on to the idea that one day my suffering could be channeled into someone else's relief. None of us have to go far to find someone who's had a negative experience with the healthcare system. The moment is here. It's important that we use it. Thank you all for coming and for being part of the work to make America healthy again. I also want to say this event came together in 8 weeks, and I'd like to thank the people who worked weekends and pulled all-nighters to make it happen. So thank you to Amol Punjabi, Chris Buskirk, Chris Applegate, Devin Hinosa, Christian Garrett, Delian Asparohov, Tony Lyons, Glenn Rink, Jared Chrisman, Katya, Kyle, Nikki, Shane, and Alex Hardy, the new CEO of MAHA Holdings, who is a big reason we're all here today, and you'll hear from him now.
Hey everyone, I'm Alex Hardy, CEO of MAHA Holdings, and welcome to the inaugural MAHA Summit. As Finn mentioned, the caliber of today's panelists is totally unmatched. Every one of these speakers could be a headliner by themselves, but you get to hear from them all in conversations that are raw, organic, and 100% gluten-free. One thing Finn did not mention is that today, you will all be making history as the first Americans ever to attend a conference serving food that is actually healthy. Tony, Finn, and I have been on calls nonstop for the past 2 months planning this thing. So much so that my girlfriend started to suspect I was leading a double life. So thank you, Tony and Finn, for all the help in making this summit happen and for keeping my relationship interesting. This event feels like a culmination of all the momentum we've gathered since the 2024 election, but the real work and the real fun has barely begun. Speaking of fun, today is going to be a blast. You may have noticed that the agenda is jam-packed from now until 6 p.m. My advice is to treat today's program like your favorite seed oil-free buffet. Pick the 1 or 2 things that appeal to you the most because you really can't go wrong. See how you digest them, and then maybe come back for seconds and thirds. And don't worry, we'll be recording all the panels for you to binge after the event. And here's the real magic of today. There's incredible value in this room. This is a highly curated group. We handpicked you to be here. You all are the 1,000 most influential change makers in health. And so the person sitting next to you is probably someone you'd like to meet. So make sure to spend time in the networking area, outside, and cross-pollinate with your fellow health enthusiasts. That's where the good stuff happens, not just at the panels, but in the conversations between them. One thing you definitely don't want to miss today is the conversation between Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary Kennedy. That will be at 12:15, just before lunch. And then to close us out today, we'll have Russell Brand's eloquent rant. After that, you'll hear from me again for some closing remarks. Now, I know each of you has a very good reason for being here today, aside from the epic swag bags, of course. And here's mine. I had a 7-year bout with chronic disease, but it wasn't my sickness that got me into MAHA. It was the lengths I went to heal myself. I was an investment banker and then a tech founder. I built and sold a company to DocuSign. And to the outside world, it looked like I was leading this charmed corporate success story. But inside, I was suffering through a brutal bout with the American sick care system. I had chronic sinus infections for almost a decade. Despite 5 surgeries and 10 rounds of antibiotics, I was still unwell. I felt like a shell of myself. Growing up, I was taught that every health problem could be solved with a pill, a shot, or a surgery. But I only got better when I quit my job at DocuSign and moved to Costa Rica. I cut out processed food and alcohol and went barefoot and shirtless in the sun for 3 months, and I felt totally reborn. No scalpels, no pharma. I simply changed my diet and lifestyle. And that radicalized me, because I shouldn't have had to leave America to get healthy. I healed myself in Costa Rica, but I had a scary realization. Western medicine is a broken promise. And this insidious secret is being kept from millions of Americans. So I decided the most important thing I could do for the future of humanity was pour my life force into making America healthy again. And that's why I'm here with you today. So here's what today is really about. We're bringing you all together because you know there's a better way to improve American health outcomes. And most importantly, you're actually influential enough to do something about it. Today continues the momentum ahead of the 2026 midterms, where the stakes are higher than ever. But we're not just focused on the next 12 months. We're stewarding this movement for the next 12 decades. Thank you all for joining us today and for being a part of this. Up first, we have the MAHA Show with Dr. Oz. Please welcome to the stage Katie Miller, Chris Klomp, and Dr. Oz. Thank you.